How about the hometown discount leader fan radio network?
Tweet that.
And KFAN.com. 1 minute, 46 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock. That is Central Standard Time. Welcome back. It's the Monday edition of the Bumper to Bumper program on a, outside at least, rather gloomy Monday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Gargi produces the show. I am the host of the program, former Ink Stain Wretch newspaper, the Twin Cities. My name is Dan Barreiro. I before E, except in Barreiro. We will be here till 6:30 tonight, I think, going the distance.
Believe that's the plan.
6:30, and why not longer, I would say. There is so much to get to, so many outstanding Vikings talking points to discuss, and so many outstanding guests, including the return to the Bumper to Bumper program for the first time in a while of Mike Tice. Yes, he is scheduled to join by telephone at about 3:30 today. We'll give you the rest of the lineup as we go forward. We do expect a phone call probably about 3:15 from Cam Bynum, the Viking safety who joins us weekly to discuss, yes, another Minnesota Vikings victory. And we're going to have plenty of time to review the game itself. Vikings turning it into a semi-laugher, 42-21. All you doubters have been waiting for the laugher. You kind of got it yesterday at the hands of Kirk Cousins and all of the devastated Kirk Obos. We're going to get to all of it. There'll be plenty of time. But if we cut to the chase, we are advancing certainly nationally, and I'm beginning to think even locally, to that place where people start saying out loud, well, I don't care what the plan was. You have to bring Sam Darnold back. You have to. It's reached a point where you don't even have a choice. 27 years old, you've tapped into him as he approaches his prime. You have solved the mystery that was one of the most highly coveted quarterbacks drafted in the last 5 to 10 years, right? Was he number 3 pick overall?
Third pick overall. And I get it. We got all these other plans, and there's salary cap implications, but you can't let him go. Which gets me back to the hometown discount. Do you think, in his heart of hearts, as the game is playing out yesterday, turning into a nightmare for Kirk Cousins, 2 more interceptions, 2 bad interceptions, I think, in both cases. He wasn't even really under that much heat with either one of them. First one was horrendous.
Do you think in the back of his mind, he's going, look, he took the money just like anybody would, right? I'm not blaming him for it, but do you think in the back of his mind he'd go, oh, man, I had a pretty good gig going. I was on my way to my best season yet when I got hurt last year. This is the perfect marriage. Yeah, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what the agents say I have to do. But God, how much happier would I continue perhaps to be if I had somehow found a way to stay here? And I'll ask the same question of Sam Darnold. The assumption is that Sam Darnold is headed for a massive payday as a free agent quarterback. Massive. Now, if you're Sam Darnold, you're supposed to be obligated to take the highest bid, right? You're supposed to go where the money is. If somebody comes calling, offering, I don't know what's it going to be, 3 years, $90 million? I don't know what it's going to be for him. Does he have to take it? Or does he say, this is comfortable? There's a reason I've been talking about how much I wouldn't want to do this any place but here. Has anybody ever seen Sam Darnold show any humanity, like waving, even as simple as waving a towel to the crowd, ever in his life?
That's not him.
No! So I'll ask the same question. Is it possible that no matter what his agent says, that creeping in the back of Sam Darnold's mind, this is what I think these quarterbacks in this situation, catbird seat, have to figure out. Would I be as happy someplace else? What do I know about their infrastructure? What do I know about their quarterback whisperer? What if they don't have one? What if all the things that have put me to a place where I'm being showcased for the best of what I can do, and even if I have confidence
that I'm capable of doing those things elsewhere, do I go, but why do I want to mess with that? That's what this, to me, that's the crux of how this is all going to come down. Now, again, ultimately, it'll take care of itself because this is all going to depend largely on what the Vikings do and what Sam Darnold does the rest of the season and into the postseason, right? If the Vikings get to the opening, the wild card weekend, go to Tampa Bay, and he's ordinary, or he throws a couple of bad picks and the Vikings are eliminated in the first round, it probably becomes easy. I don't even know if it should on the basis of his body of work, but it's going to be a lot easier, I think, for the Vikings to stick to the plan and probably for Darnold to say, yeah, I'll just take whatever I can get wherever I indeed can get it. But if the team keeps winning and they actually make a little bit of a playoff run, and even if they don't get far, he's actually quite good, then to me, that's what this is all going to come back to. When Darnold says this stuff is happening here now for a reason, does he mean it? And if he means it, would he consider his own version of the hometown discount if the Vikings say, Sam, we can't go whole hog.
Right.
But we got an idea. Maybe, I don't know if it's a 2-year contract. We got an idea. Well, we're going to pay you handsomely, but we can't go as far as desperate teams that have an endless amount of cash, although I think we have the money.
We're in good shape.
We're in good shape, although, again, some of these other contracts we signed were all done on the premise that we don't have to pay a quarterback $50 million for several years. But I digress. If there's some middle ground that they say, we want to try to keep you, but this is the way we have to do it, is it outrageous for Sam Darnold to kind of consider it and go, yeah, maybe? So I don't think at this point you can rule anything out regarding the future of Sam Darnold. And I think you'd be a fool to say, no way, no chance, under no scenario can the Vikings consider bringing back Sam Darnold. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do, and that is a complete reversal in Sirwanga of what I've been saying for what we said in August and September. We talked about this hypothetical, right?
I would have thought this hypothetical was laughable. Then I was using it as a hypothetical because I thought it was that's all it was. It was just a joke. We were playing around. I yawned when this team signed Sam Darnold. I had no interest in Sam Darnold. So for me to come even this far before a single playoff game has been won is a big switch. It's to that extent also a Sirwanga.
I know you want to break before Bynum, so we should hear in a second. Could you give him the Baker? Could you give him the 3-year, $100 million contract that Baker Mayfield signed after his own rehabilitation?
You absolutely have to think that's in play right now. You have to think that's a possibility.
That number doesn't scare me.
No, it doesn't.
30-some?
And the beauty of it is you don't really have to make that decision yet. Let this thing play out. Now, the comeback is if he's great the rest of the way, the price tag is going to go up. Maybe not here. Maybe he'll say, no, this is the spot for me. Look at Kirk.
There's no place I'd rather play.
He can point to Kirk and say, look at his situation now. They're talking about benching him. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since Labor Day, for God's sake. Come back and talk defense, largely, and Vikings with our guy, Cam Bynum. He is next. Another week, another Vikings victory, and another end zone interception celebration involving our next guest, Cam Bynum, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Welcome back. Congratulations on the victory. Let's get the celebration stuff out of the way early. Give us the inspiration for this most recent one and how much practice time and thought went into it with you and your compadres.
So my little sister sent me the video back in October, not too long after the Parent Trap one. She said, you guys need to learn this, and this will be the one. And I agreed with her immediately. So last month, literally a month ago, 4 weeks ago, I told Josh, we got to do this one. So after practice, we went and mastered it in one day. It took us about 30 minutes of rehearsing it and trying to master it, then just a lot of more watching it, watching the video from the movie. And by then, every single week, before every single game since then, we've been going pregame and just walking through it subtly, just with the steps. we're like, all right, we got it. So we've been a little dry with our interceptions, but Josh got one. So whichever one got one first between us two, we were like, we're going to do it if either of us gets a pick. So he got one yesterday, so we were able to finally get it going.
And this one's from what? What is the inspiration for this one? I thought Parent Trap was the last one. Is this also Parent Trap? No, this is different, right?
No, this one is from the movie White Chick.
White Chick. That's what I thought. Yeah. And who came up with that? Who gave you that idea?
My little sister.
Oh, wow. Okay. You mentioned. Okay, I thought you mentioned the early one. So yeah, well, that makes some sense. So you're getting good help, is what you're saying, from other people.
Yeah, for sure. Just now that it's become a thing, as so many people sending in little ideas, and some are good, some are like, this has been done before, but I'm for sure receptive of anybody that's sending me ideas, but most of the time, it's just random stuff that I think about when I'm either watching a movie or just trying to think of something funny and random, and that's where really the celebrations come from.
So can you give us without, I assume part of the drama is, dropping this where people don't know it's coming. Can you give us a hint? Is the next one already in your mind? Have you guys already begun working on choreographing what's going to be the next one?
No, not yet. Just because this was the big one that we've been waiting for. So, the focus has been on this one. So I have a few ideas,
right?
But nothing like where I'm sold on. Just because of how big this one was. It's hard to top that one. So I'm like, okay, all the other ideas I had aren't as good as the one we just did yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm still in the research phase right now, but give me a day or two and I'll master something.
Thankfully, you have an extra day before the Bears game. The extra day for Monday night, that gives you some time.
Exactly. An extra day to get healthy and make sure that we can practice it, even if it's another crazy one doing a flip. I'm like, yeah, we'll be good. So the extra day for sure helps because now I have at least another day to figure out what we can do.
It's a whole nother sort of pressure. You sort of created this monster, right? Where expectations are so great, and now you got to meet them, right? Which means, as you said, I like the way you think. You're not going to turn down any suggestions, and you'll appreciate all those, but you have to have a high standard, right? So a lot of them probably are going to say, well, no, that's just not worth our time. This is becoming, to keep matching your excellence on this, you have to be tough, right, in terms of what you agree to and what you dismiss as not worthy.
Yeah, for sure. It's really, there's a lot of pressure to it, but it's the best pressure in the world. Just being able to make enough plays to the point where people expect something out of you, yes. And especially when you do make a play, what the celebration is going to be. So really, it's more exciting to have this pressure because that means if we're running out of celebrations, that means we're making enough plays to be able to run out. So I feel like it's almost a luxury that we get to have this pressure on us just because we know that means we're making plays on the field to be able to have a reason to celebrate.
So how does this, is this after practice you guys do this where, okay, we're done with practice and now we're going to kind of go over the side and work on that? When do you guys work on this stuff?
Yeah, it all depends when we think about it, but last time for this most recent celebration, it was right after practice. We practiced it in our cleats as soon as we got off the field because we knew that obviously it's in a game, so we had to practice in our cleats to make sure that we can do all the moves with the steps on the floor and the flips. And when I stepped over and jumped over Josh, we had to make sure we can do it all with cleats. We didn't do it in full pads, but we knew when we had the adrenaline in the game, we'd be able to do it fine. And sometimes we practice it the Saturday night before the game. So it all depends. We just make sure that every single day before the game or the day of the game, we're able to practice it and walk through it in pregame warm-ups just so we can make sure that we got it clean.
That's a lot of pressure out of the cleats. You're right, man. You don't want to hurt anybody. That would be tough to explain to your head coach and your defensive coordinator, right? If you got somebody hurt on a celebration.
But at least you made the play, so it won't be too bad.
That's right. You know what makes this whole thing work? I know you know this is you guys keep winning, right? I mean that's really what it's about. And you get another victory, 42-21 against Atlanta, and your former quarterback Kirk Cousins. They get off to a good start. Their first drive, it looked. I thought they had a good plan. I thought they had some good play calls. But then they, relatively speaking, struggled. Kirk ends up throwing a couple interceptions. What did you see on that first drive, and what did you guys do after that, do you think, to adjust?
They're really efficient. I know the first play of the game, they ran the ball for a first down, and that's what we don't want as a defense, but that was good on their end, being able to establish the run game early, and they had really good running backs, so that made it a struggle and a challenge all day. But once we were able to settle in and see what type of runs they were doing and seeing that they were really hunting the cutback, they'd do a wide zone or a stretch or a toss, something wide to get outside the tackles, but then really to set up, get the defense to overrun the ball, and then the cutback lanes were open. So once we adjusted to that, we were able to have more success in the run game. And then once the offense helped us out and kept scoring, that made them have to pass the ball more. So that's when we got 2 interceptions.
Yep.
And that's always a good thing when we're in pass situations and when the DBs are able to go out there and make plays. So it really was just another team effort. Special teams had the turnover, so really everything went right when it came to complementary football.
Well, when you're obviously in practice, you get to know your own offense very well. That's part of the deal. Yesterday, of course, JJ and Addison were ridiculous. Their numbers were absurd, and both of them very, very effective. JJ, it's been a while since he'd actually caught a touchdown pass. Addison has been good to very good. So when you watch these guys, we know we've talked a lot with you about JJ in the past. Tell me a little bit about what you see on Addison, why he has emerged to the degree that he has, what you think makes him as effective as he has become.
Just how smooth he is as a receiver. Everything that he does, just going against him and seeing him throughout this year and last year, just seeing how smooth he is, that he doesn't really have any tells in his routes as far as like some receivers raise up before they break down. And you can really get a beat on what they do. But Addison being it goes into his personality. He's just really chill and just smooth. And that's exactly how he is as a receiver. He's never really running full speed until he's really taking off, and then he could take the top off the defense. So it's really just he's just, like I said, a smooth route runner, smooth in his transition to where it doesn't even look like he's out there playing with a bunch of effort and strain, but he's just making plays, and it just looks easy for him. And that's really how he plays the game, and it's different, and it's hard to explain, but it's really his own style of play that makes it so effective.
Well, and I don't have to tell you this. Obviously, there's been a great effort the last several weeks to bracket JJ even more than usual, and that can, the beauty of it is if you have other receivers who are good, you can take advantage of it. You get the results that the Vikings have, your team has in the passing game, and then ultimately you'd think at some point teams start worrying enough about Addison to go, well, maybe we got to cheat a little bit more where we don't devote as much attention to JJ, which potentially opens up some stuff for him as well, which we kind of saw yesterday.
Exactly. It always makes it tough when you have two really good, possible number one receiver. Obviously, we know JJ is one of the best in the league, or the best in the league, I would say. Then Jordan also, I believe he's one of the best in the league also. And having two of those on one offense, it's like pick your poison. And obviously teams are going to, no matter what, go after JJ more. So that for sure opens things up for JA more, but also for TJ. Then for the run game, it really makes it tough when you have all these weapons on our offense, and especially when they're in sync and playing together. There's really nobody you can stop, and we saw that in the Bears game when three people went for 100 yards that game on the offense, and it's just there's really no way to stop us on offense when we're playing correct ball and just doing what we know how to do.
I also want to ask you about a defensive teammate of yours that had more than a good game that your average, casual fan might not know about. Tell me about Jalen Redmond. I think he had 2 tackles for loss, batted down a couple of passes. You guys batted down a lot of passes in general. Where did he come from? Jalen Redmond was outstanding yesterday.
Yeah, he's been one of the unsung heroes the past few games, especially as his role has been growing on defense. He showed every single week, even if he's not making the plays on the stat sheet, he's shutting down run lanes, he's destroying blocks and just playing hard. And he just has that energy out there where he's really playing hard and he's making a difference. And his big-time TFLs, that for sure helps. And then they're on important downs to force us into a third down or force us into a second and long. That makes it really go into a tough third down for the other team. So every single play that he's been making has been important, and he's silently one of the top players and just one of the people that's been really making a bunch of plays lately.
Sam had, of course, a huge game again. We talked about him a little bit last week with you, 5 touchdown passes, and he's pretty much eliminated the interceptions during this stretch. We saw, I don't know how aware you were of this, an MVP chant starts in the building late, and we see a fairly, at least from our standpoint, uncharacteristic emotion from Darnold, where he starts waving the towel, saying, look, I felt like I needed to do that. I wanted to do that. I wanted to embrace that particular moment. Not the most emotional guy, but it seemed like that moment got to him a little bit.
Yeah, that was he was probably just feeding off the energy in the building. Our fans are the best in the world. And when that last series, when they're showing them on the Jumbotron, they go from Jordan over to JJ, then to Sam, and they're all getting hyped and just enjoying the moment. I think they need to do that. That the teammates feed off of that. We just enjoy seeing that. And believe it or not, Sam is a really fun and outgoing and fun guy. So I wasn't surprised the way he was screaming and getting hyped, because he for sure has that fire in him. I've seen it. And
maybe the sneaky best part of his game that I guess I didn't understand is obviously mobility. Because obviously on the long touchdown pass to JJ, he's dead to rights. He's got 2 people running right out of him. At him. He spins out of that, rolls right, finds some space, and then flings it. That to me is that's been part of the separator this year for him, Cam.
Yeah, he's been able to escape really well and just making smart decisions, being able to step up in the pocket sometimes and sometimes escape out of the pocket and either throw on the run or just take a few extra yards and run the ball instead of throwing it into traffic. So just his mobility has opened up a lot of opportunities for our offense and for our receivers, and just being able to do different things, but also in case of emergency, like yesterday on that deep touchdown, him be able to escape 2 people, throw a bomb on the run, like that's special. And obviously nobody is going to talk about his mobility, but I think he's shown a lot with whether it's his spin move against the Titans or just yesterday's play. Like you might have to start considering him a dual threat.
Right, you're right, exactly it. Lastly, you got as Guardsy mentioned, you're off till Monday night, at least in terms of games. You got the Bears in the rematch against them. They have a new head coach, acting head coach at this point, as you probably know. So give me your early scouting report on the Bears.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same game no matter what. They can't change too much up in a few weeks that they've had a new coach. So we just know that they're going to play hard no matter what, just because it's really a new era there with the new coach leading it. And we know no matter what, a division game, it's going to be competitive regardless of what's happening there inside the building. And we know that they have the players to be able to play hard and put up a fight, just like we saw the other week when we played them, to go into overtime and just create that type of game, regardless of how it finished and how it came to be. They put up a fight and they made plays when plays needed to be made. So we know that this week, especially on Monday night, big moment, it'll be a big one.
Appreciate the time as always. Congrats, and we will chat next week. Thanks, Cam.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Cam Bynum helping us out as he does after every Minnesota Vikings game. We got a little added bonus today. First time in a while. Mike Tice in town. In fact, I think he's still in town. I think he's flying back out tonight. And we're going to catch up with him, get his reaction to his favorite football team's surge through most of this season, and maybe just catch up on what he's been up to as well. Mike Tice, right around the corner here. Ben Lieber will join us in a little more than an hour. Johnny Krasinski is scheduled to join about 5:30 tonight. Lots of Vikings talking points to get to. But I got a text from a, former radio partner of mine. I still maintain that we put together, mainly because of him, the best weekly NFL coaches radio show that's ever been done. I don't think it's ever been duplicated. Mike Tice, live, right here on the Fan. And Tice was in town, is still in town, I think, heading out later tonight. He joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. How are you, sir?
What's up, Danny boy? How you doing, my friend?
It's been way too long that we've chatted on or off air. Here's what's interesting. I got this text when I mentioned earlier that you're going to join. I thought you'd get a kick out of this. This is Jeff in Minneapolis, and he says, regarding Mike being on today, please thank him for being the only Vikings coach with the cojones to speak to the public after 41 Donut on Rosen's show that evening. Extra credit for stating that the whole team, quote, peed down our leg that day. I still remember that line. Is that true? Were you the only one willing to be interviewed on any of the shows after 41 Donut?
I guess so. I don't remember.
Do you remember the line?
I mean, come on, Danny. I'm 60. Yeah, I remember the line. I'm 65 years old. I don't remember everything.
Well, I'm older than that. I don't remember stuff.
I'm glad I still remember Diane's name.
Well, that's very, very true. So, what brought you to town? First of all, just catch up.
Couple things. Truthfully, I wanted to come up for a game. And it turned out once a year, one of my wife's older sister comes to visit her, and we're in St. Louis in Las Vegas now. We split time between our grandkids.
Oh, nice.
And her sister announced she was coming in, so I got booted. So I said, all right. She says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the game. So I came up for the game, and we also did some charity stuff today. We gave out a 100-winner coach with the Minneapolis and St. Paul fire departments over at the New Horizons School on North Penn. And we'll give out another 1,100 coach December 19th over in St. Paul at a couple schools. And so we did that today, and that was great. It was really, we usually do the photo op. We give them a check every year through our foundation, and it says, big check says Mike Tice Foundation, here's a check, Operation Warm. But being in town, I said, can we set up giving out the coats? And they were like, really? And I was like, really? And so we gave out the coats. It was so great. The kids were cute. They were like 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. It was fun.
Outstanding.
So that's why I'm in town. But I guess I got to tell you the truth. There's another reason I'm in town, too, is I'm doing this interview from Bunnies.
I should have known. Is your parking spot? Is your reserved for Mike Tice only spot? Does that still exist?
Yeah, it's in my office in Las Vegas. I stole it when I got fired.
There you go. I'm glad you got back to Bunnies for sure. It wouldn't have been right if you didn't. You also picked a good week to come back, obviously, and see the club. What were your impressions of the Vikings after the watching the Atlanta game?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I should come back more. It's only the second game I came back for since I got fired. I came in when Kevin Williams got inducted to the Ring of Honor. The fans, the ownership group, the management, all the alumni that were up in the alumni suite, I just felt wanted. I felt better than I did when I was a head coach, put it that way. I felt wanted, and it was great to be back. What a beautiful stadium. A little shaky early with pass protection. Yeah. I was really pleased by the adjustments made at halftime and moving the quarterback out of the pocket a little bit to get away from that rush. And, Sam Darnold for MVP. I mean, are you kidding me? 5 touchdowns. And it was good to see Jefferson get back on the board. He hasn't scored a touchdown in a few weeks. And it was nice to see him because we know those wide receivers, if they're not scoring touchdowns, they get a little frustrated.
Yes,
they get a little frustrated.
Yes, they do.
And I like Addison. I'm a fan of Addison. So I'm really pleased with what I saw yesterday. Of course, I still bleed purple, and I'm excited for the fans here to be able to root for a team that's doing very well.
We have Sean Salisbury joins us every week, and if you go back to the beginning of the season, literally the first week of the season, we talked about Darnold, and he said, look, the people I talk to, talking about, this is him talking, believe that this guy still has a chance to figure this thing out, that they really do think with the right tutelage that his career can get turned around. I have to admit I was skeptical
I wasn't all that inspired when they made the move. I know why they did it. They wanted a bridge, waiting for the kid to get ready to play. But I didn't see it, and I got to give Salisbury credit because whoever he talked to, I think, has been vindicated that there's something here. What did you think of him when the Vikings made that move? Did you think he had any of this in him, or are you surprised?
I'm surprised as well, but you got to give credit where credit's due. You have two tremendous quarterback people working with this kid. You have Kevin O'Connell working with him, who's obviously a former quarterback and a quarterback teacher, does an outstanding job. And then Josh McCown, I saw him on the sideline before the game. We had him in Chicago when I was there.
That's right.
Your team. And he is really smart and really good, and I think he's that calming voice that a quarterback needs to hear at times. So, my hat's off to both of those guys that are working with him, and he just is having the best year of his career. I mean, he set a record yesterday for his career, right? 5 touchdowns,
right.
347 yards, whatever he had, both records for him. And it was just when they got the protection thing squared away, it really turned out to be a nice day for him and the Vikings and the fans.
So, the question that keeps coming up and is becoming a bigger question nationally as people nationally spend more time on what Darnold has done. And lately that's been eliminate the interceptions, which has been a problem through his career and really had been a problem. The one, significant issue earlier in this season. He's gone away from that. Unlike number 18 for Atlanta, who I want to talk to you about in a minute as well, Kirk Cousins. But the plan all along was, all right, we'll get Sam for a year. We want to have a good season, but we don't know where this is going to go. And then we're going to turn this thing over to JJ. And the debate that's breaking out, Mike, is the obvious that, well, wait a minute, if he keeps winning, keeps excelling, and this team actually even has some success in the postseason, given his age, which is 27, you can't let him walk. So what do you think? What's your best advice to what the Vikings should be taking under consideration here regarding the possibility of changing the plan, which was in place to have, no money invested in the rookie quarterback, contracts going elsewhere, not having that big $50 million contract going to the starting QB. Do you have to change that if he keeps playing well, or what do you think?
I think that's the point you're making is the valid point. Is let's see how far it goes. Mm-hmm. Let's see when we get down here towards the end, here in December and the first part of January, and the playoffs. Let's see how far we go. Let's see if it's the same Sam Darnold who, in key magic moments, is not magic, or is he really turned the corner? And this is the new Sam Darnold that the Vikings look like geniuses going out and getting in the offseason.
Yeah, I think that's what we were saying. I think that's fair. It is, but he's obviously done extremely well here and better so far than I even thought it was possible. So,
Dan, excuse me, I agree with you though, because I even said to some people yesterday, I'm just waiting for that moment to come. That moment where, he throws a pick in the red zone, or he feels pressure and he just throws the ball aimlessly to a defender. But you're not seeing that. And we did see it one game, but you're not seeing that. And so it may be the maturity process and growing up, but like I said, being around two good quarterback guys, maybe he's turned the corner.
It's possible. I mean,
he turned it yesterday.
Yeah, he certainly did. He was outstanding. Well, we were saying the other thing that's, I think, very underrated about him that I didn't know he had in him is there's more athleticism than I thought. And, the long touchdown pass to JJ on a semi-broken play, I mean, he's dead to rights. He's got two guys running right at him. He pivots out of that, rolls, but keeps his head up. And then, and he's got the arm. You can see he's obviously got the arm strength. To me, that's the part of his game because he's done that a lot. Now, it's not like he never gets sacked, but he's done enough of those plays where he's shown that extra mobility that I didn't even know could be a part of what he does.
Absolutely, and he's a big man too. He's not a little guy, you know. He can ricochet off of some of those hits that when they're trying to tackle him in the backfield. He shows that he has the strength, and not only the arm strength, but he has the leg strength, the lower body strength to not go down like Derek Carr.
So, what do you make of this division? By the way, I mean the gaudy records at the top. It's unprecedented. I don't remember anything like this.
It's exciting. It's all going to play out because Detroit's got a boatload of injuries.
That's true.
And how long can you go, winning with all of those guys missing? It's tough. I'm happy for Dan Campbell. I'm a big fan. He's done a tremendous job. They've done a great job in the organization. But how far can you stretch this thing out with all those people out and hurt? And that's what plays out, as you know, doing this for years, many years. That's what plays out late here in the season, down the stretch. These last games are really where teams are going to separate themselves from the elite teams in the AFC, the elite teams in the NFC, and the good teams.
Right.
But absolutely, right now, Detroit's as good as there is in the NFC.
Yeah.
The Vikings, people are saying, are a step below that. We'll see. The Packers, they're very young. Packers are very young. So, but it's a tremendous job by the division this year, except for your Bears.
Yes.
Who did about as good a job as you, telling me to be on at 3:30 and then I go on at 3:40.
Yeah, clock management.
They did as good a job as you did with the clock management. It cost the guy his job.
Yeah, it's not good. And then they make the switch. And they think, hey, the new guy, maybe he's got a little juice. And then they just got humiliated. I mean, it was, I think, what was the total at the half? They were outgained something like 350-2 in the first half. Well, you coach there.
It doesn't look like there's a belief there in that building right now.
Well, let me ask you this: as somebody who coached there,
it's going to be tough.
Because a lot of people like to think that really all of this does start at the top with ownership, as much as it is about general managers and coaches and players. And there are people in Chicago who I still pay attention to who say, as long as the McCaskies own the team, there's a good chance it ain't going to work, that they think that's part of the issue. What do you think?
I'll give you another example. Dallas.
Yeah.
Sometimes stay out of the way. You get your own way.
Yeah.
And just let people that you hire, if you respect them, do their jobs.
Yep.
Don't always meddle. So that would be my opinion on that. And I tend to agree with you. I love the McCaskies. They treated me great when I was there. But there's something missing.
Yeah,
there's been something missing for quite a while.
What's interesting? You mentioned Cam.
Why do you fire Lovie Smith? Tell me that one.
That's it. Started. Go back to that. You're exactly right. They've never recovered. Yes. You can argue. And was he? He was 10-6 when they fired him. I believe.
Yeah, I was there.
I know. That's right.
And me too.
Well, in fact, we talked about this before. One of the times I felt really bad for you was you're on the bench trying to talk some kind of sense into Jay Cutler. This is during a game.
National TV.
And the jackass
Dallas
just gets up, walks away from you. I'm thinking, I'm amazed that Tice doesn't slug him. Honest to God, I'm amazed.
And honestly, Dan, that came up at the game yesterday.
Did it really?
I ran into a couple Bears people, and they asked about that, and they said, "Why didn't you, with your background, why didn't you choke him out?" Because I respected Lovie Smith too much.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
It's a national TV game.
Right.
I'm the play caller. At that point, I was the play caller, and I know there's a camera on me, and I know there's a camera on him, and it would have been disrespectful to Lovie Smith if I did something like that, and I respect Lovie too much.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a great compliment to Lovie Smith, a guy who still garners immeasurable respect around the league. You mentioned Campbell, and it's interesting because obviously he's figured it out in Detroit. Kevin O'Connell now this year again a very good run, at least putting the Vikings in a very promising position in a year that I felt was probably going to be a holding pattern season. And I look at these two guys, these two coaches, and I go, you want to talk about proving that there are a lot of different ways to coach. I mean, they can't be any different, Mike, in their approaches. In terms of emotion, I think, just in terms of how they go about
delivering whatever their messages are, Campbell and KOC?
Well, here's the thing. When you have a message, Dan, and the message is showing good and positive results, they start believing in the message. When you have a message and it's not showing the results that the head man is telling you that are going to be there, then they stop believing. And I think that's, happens with teams at this time of the year. And you got two coaches right now whose infantrymen are all believing the message, and they're out there and they'll run through a brick wall. And the old adage, they'll run through a brick wall for them right now.
Have you had a chance to reach out? Randy Moss has gone very public with a health issue that is clearly troubling him. Said he announced he's going to step away from his job with ESPN for a little bit. Do you know anything about this? Have you tried to reach out to him? What are your thoughts on what from the outside, as someone who does not know that much about this, appears to be a kind of a troubling situation?
I don't know any more than you do. I did reach out and told him that Di and I had him in our prayers and we were thinking about him. I did not hear back, but I don't know what's going on. But it's obviously more serious than people can imagine, I guess, to have to step away from your job.
No question about that. Mike Tice, kind enough to call in today. You're heading out later tonight. Is that right? You're flying back?
Yep, I'm going to head back to Vegas and go to the rodeo tomorrow. I bought a black cowboy hat, and then I'm driving to Telluride for a wedding. I stay busy. Driving to Telluride for a wedding on this weekend. So
you're kind of further removed from football than you've been, right? Pretty much, but you're okay. You're okay with this. It's you had the run. You enjoyed yourself as a head coach and. Well, at times as a head coach and an assistant coach, you don't miss being in the middle of the fray, middle of the action anymore?
Well, I have a lot of guys around the league that I help raise, help teach to be good coaches. I stay in touch with all of them, including 3 coaches on the Chiefs, and I also train some athletes in the spring. Trained a couple college guys, trained a couple high school guys, or a bunch of high school guys, and a couple NFL guys. In fact, the tight end that's converted a quarterback from Old Dominion that ran a nice screen in the Charger game last night, Smart. I trained him for a few weeks. So I do a little bit of that. I do it because the agents call me and ask, hey, you want to work him out for a little bit? It would be good. You help him with his blocking or something like that. And I was like, absolutely. His name is Stone Smart. Doesn't he have the best football name in the league?
That's a great name, yeah. Is that his real name, or did they just add that? They just for drama?
No, that's his real name.
That's pretty good.
His real name.
That's pretty good. So you, by the way, you mentioned, obviously the Vikings are going good right now. Another one of your former teams, the Seahawks, are emerging. They're having a really nice season. So when push comes to shove, Tice, are you a Seahawks guy or are you a Vikings guy?
I'm a Vikings guy. I cut my teeth with the Seahawks in the 80s, played 10 years there, but I spent over, I want to say 13 years in Minnesota. I have many dear friends in both towns. I root for both teams. I'm back to rooting for the Seahawks after they made the coaching change. And there were reasons behind that.
Tell me about them. Tell me about them, Mike.
Well, when I retired, I asked if I can come out to practice, and I was told no.
What?
So I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. But now that there's a coaching change, it's been nice the way they've reached out and.
Good.
You need anything for your golf event? You need anything for it seems like there's a different different vibe there.
Yeah. That's outstanding. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, you're not forgotten here, and as I said, I've had a lot of good guests over the years, man. But as a regular guest, the Mike Tice live show was gold. It was great fun. You were outstanding to work with, and I still miss the program, and I still get texts from people talking about it.
Well, I had fun, and we got an award, and it's sitting in my office in Las Vegas, and I look at it every day. And I know the last time we talked, I reached out to you after you got your award, and you got your recognition, well deserved. And and I know you got back to me, but I can't remember if I got back to you.
The thought's always there.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear your voice, and I'm glad you allowed me to come on and say hi today. And anytime you need me, I'm here for you.
Well, like I said, the beauty of you, Tice, is you're one of those people that you can go months without talking to, and then we pick right up where we left off, like nothing gets lost. So that's a compliment to you. I much appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it. Good to hear your voice, buddy.
Safe travels, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Man.
That is former Vikings head coach Mike Tice, who was in town for a couple of different reasons. Got to see the Vikings dismantling, ultimately, of Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. Final score, I believe, was 42-21. Lieber will join us late in the 4 o'clock hour of the show. Johnny Athletic is scheduled for 5:30. We have not gotten to a single Vikings talking point yet. We'll try to dig deep, drill down in that realm in the next several